Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Oh, we're good. All right, we're good. We're good. All right. Whew, that was scary. All right. If you could just mute yourself for the next 4 minutes, that would be great. All right, perfect. I'm just gonna play some music until the stream starts at 2:30. Okay, and we are live. Alrighty. So welcome everybody to the first North of Superior live stream. My name is Will. I am a new children's counselor here at North of Superior. I work out of the Nipigon office. And Stephanie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Stephanie Cressette. I am one of the children's workers out of the Long Lac office in the Greenstone area.
Great. So, to start things off, I just want to say welcome, everybody. This is something that's brand new to NOSP. So, we're very excited to be having this event. With everything going on, we wanted to keep, social distancing priority, but we wanted to make sure that we were reaching out to as many people as we could. So to do that, we thought of doing these stream events in hopes that we can get started. So let me just transfer. There we go. All right, so these are just some visuals that we will be using just to help folks at home follow along. And also, before we get started, I just want to say that at the bottom of the screen, you will see a constant stream of numbers and websites that you can use to reach out if there's any sort of mental health needs. The list will be provided in the description of the live stream once it goes on our YouTube channel. So we just wanted to provide you with that information. And to start, we're just gonna talk about what do we mean by being a hero. What are some ways we can help our friends, and who can we tell when someone is in danger. And the last thing we're going to talk about is an activity that you folks can do at home. So what is being a hero? There are many different examples of heroes that we could think of, whether they are fictional or not fictional. So what we would like you guys to do at home is to think of some examples of what you think a hero is, and feel free to type them out in the chat below. Do you have any examples, Stephanie, that you could think of?
Sometimes, so everyday lives that we see could be like a police officer or a firefighter. But sometimes being a hero isn't necessarily always a career choice that you do. It could be simply, giving a hug to a friend when you see that they're upset that day. Sometimes a small gesture like that can actually make you be a hero for your friends. So we see heroes on a day-to-day basis in many different ways. So we just kind of encourage you guys to think of different ways as well. Those are just 2-3 examples that we have, and then we'll be talking about more examples on the next slide over.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's sort of a common theme that we want to that you guys to know, is that you can be a hero just by asking a simple question to a friend who may be going through some things in their life. Yeah, so here we just have some examples of some things that maybe you guys have thought of. Hi, Bossum223. Welcome to the stream. So like here we see you have some career paths of people who could be seen as heroes, like a police officer, and people who work out of the ambulance, firefighter, and then we see people doing regular day-to-day things, like a friend reaching out here to their friend, someone helping like another person through helping them across the street, what have you. Anybody could be a hero, even you. So here's where that disclaimer comes in. This is where we're going to be talking about some of the themes of mental health. So some things that can be causing your friends trouble are anxiety, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, acts of self-harm, so like cutting on their wrists, or any part of their body, depression, and they may have experienced something traumatic in their lifetime. And we're going to talk to you guys about how you can identify these things how you guys can identify these things. So to start, we would like to talk about anxiety, and and we have a little video here just to help understand what anxiety is. So here we go.
And it can feel a bit different for each person, but it usually doesn't feel very nice. Maybe your palms get sweaty, or your body tenses up, or maybe you get a tummy ache. Maybe you've heard of anxiety, or maybe you haven't, but you've definitely felt it before. Because everyone feels it sometimes. It's normal. You want to know something really weird about anxiety? It's actually trying to help you. It's true. All those uncomfortable feelings, those happen because your brain thinks you're in danger, and it wants to protect you. When our muscles tense up and we sweat, it gets us ready to do a lot of exercise, which is helpful if you need to jump out of the way of a runaway train or wrestle a wolverine. Sometimes our minds go blank and we feel like we can't move or talk. That would be great if we needed to hide. Instead, we just feel stuck. When your brain does this, it's called fight, flight, or freeze. The problem is, sometimes your brain gets confused and it can't tell the difference between a charging moose and, say, going to a new school. Both things can be scary and cause anxiety. But there aren't any dangerous wild animals at a new school, hopefully. Understanding where anxiety comes from is the first step in learning to deal with it. So the next time you're in one of those tough situations and you start to feel those feelings, like butterflies in your stomach or sweaty palms, or it gets hard to talk or move, remember, there's nothing wrong with your body. You're just having normal feelings of anxiety, and they're actually trying to help, even if they're not very good at it sometimes.
All right. Just a sec. There we go. All right. So that's sort of what we mean by anxiety, is that it's a feeling in your body. Like you can feel it in different areas. You could get headaches. You could feel like there's a pressure in your chest. You could feel like there's like your stomach's getting upset. And it's just your body's way of telling you that something is going to happen, and it's preparing you for that. And it's a totally normal thing. Everybody goes through it. It happens to everybody. It's just recognizing what your body is reacting to. Do you want to take this one, Stephanie?
Yeah, so the next slide here is more talking about panic attacks. So a lot of times individuals will feel panic attacks when anxieties can kind of come regularly, but panic attacks is like the excessive thinking about it causes more and more panic attacks. A lot of times it'll have major changes in behaviors, and to avoid having another panic attacks, you're going to change some things that you would do in your life on an everyday basis. So some physical things that you can notice in your body or in the friends, if you can kind of see how they're acting differently. So it could be your heart is racing or pounding. So it's going super, super fast. Sometimes it almost feels like your heart is going to explode out of your chest. You could be sweating, so it can be just in your hands or it can be all over your body. Some people experience shaking, so kind of like almost like the shivers if they have lots and lots of shivers, or it can actually be shaking of their whole body. The feeling of choking, having a really upset stomach, so it could even be nauseous or even just having a really bad tummy ache. Dizziness, some people feel like they're going to faint or they're going to fall over. Some people have a fear of losing control or of going crazy. So this is almost like you have no control about what's going on. It's almost like what you're feeling, you have no control over making it stop or of making it start. So it's like someone's controlling your body without actually you being able to control it. And then the last one is fear of dying. So not everybody will have all of these symptoms when they have a panic attack. Those are just the most common ones that some people can feel. Um, but a lot of times, some people will have a few of these symptoms or physical thoughts that will happen when they do have a panic attack. Some of these feelings are just internal, so just you feel it. But other times, you can notice this from a friend. So if you can notice that a friend sometimes, might be extra worried about something recently, these are sometimes the signs that you can look for also in a friend to notice if they need help or if they need any assistance from you. Um, yeah. Anything else to add?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. It's just to highlight, these are some things that you can look for, but you shouldn't immediately go to them when you see that a friend is experiencing them. You should always ask the person how they're feeling and what's going on. You shouldn't just jump to a conclusion that they're having a panic attack, as these symptoms or these signs can be other things as well. All right. So depression, occasionally being sad or feeling hopeless is a part of everyone's life. Some children feel sad or uninterested in things that they used to enjoy, or feel helpless in situations they are able to change. When children feel persistent sadness and hopelessness, they may be diagnosed with depression. So with depression, everybody feels sad sometimes. Even I do, and I'm an adult. It's a totally normal thing everybody experiences. But the difference between feeling sadness and feeling depression is how long you feel sad for. So say you got a poor grade on a test and you feel sad that you could have done better, could have studied more, and that feeling may last for a day or two, but then you decide, okay, next time I'm going to study, I'm going to do great. That's an example of sadness. But with depression, that would stay within longer than a week. So if you feel that way, then that's some signs that you may be depressed. So some other things you can look for, like sad, hopeless, or irritable a lot of the time, not wanting to do things you enjoy for fun, showing changes in eating patterns. So maybe the person is either eating a lot more or eating a lot less. Sleep patterns, maybe the person is sleeping more or sleeping a lot less. There are changes in energy. Maybe the person is tired and not wanting to do things all the time. Or maybe they're hyperactive and always want to be on the move. Maybe they're having a hard time paying attention. You always find that they're like zoned out or just not listening. They could be feeling worthless, useless, or guilty, and they're showing signs of self-injury and self-destructive behavior. So what that means is like
energy, even if it's for 2-3 days, it doesn't mean that you're depressed. So it's with depression, it's for a long extended period of time, right? If sometimes low energy or changing in your sleep, either sleeping less or sleeping more, sometimes there can be external factors like even just a growth spurt or using lots of energy and playing lots of sports in the last couple of days. So some external factors can also have the same effects as depression. So just because if you ever experience any of these, or if ever your friends experience any of these, it doesn't necessarily mean it's depression. But these are just signs to look for an extended amount of time. So for a long, long period of time, if you notice a lot of these changes, that's when, some people might experience depression, and that's when maybe to talk about it with an adult or someone that you trust would come in hand.
Okay. Thanks for that, Stephanie. Yeah, that's very, very informative. Thank you. Do you want to take this one, Stephanie?
Yeah. So the next slide here is about suicide and self-harm. So suicide and self-harm are very similar, so similar that in fact they are often seen as the same thing. It's important to understand how suicide and self-harm differ though. So suicide means that someone has taken an action to end their life in order to escape an unbearable emotion of pain. Where in self harm, it is defined as deliberate, repetitive, and socially unacceptable injury to your body without intent to die. So the self harm can be seen as it could be cutting of wrist or of other parts in your body. It could be self harm as pulling hair or scratching or biting without the intent of wanting to die. So a lot of individuals use self harm as a way to escape without actually wanting the intent to die. So some of the warning signs for suicidal thoughts about are talking about not having a future or not necessarily knowing where they want to go for their future and not having any intent to even want a future. Feelings of being trapped with no way out. So no matter what, there's no one that can help or nothing that they can do to change the way they're feeling. Talking about going away or giving their possessions to others. So someone was seen giving, their favorite baseball card that they've always kept as their most prized possession, all of a sudden they're wanting to give that baseball card away to everybody. So that can kind of sometimes be a sign. Talking about death or wanting to die, and threatening to hurt themselves or kill themselves. So sometimes it's not necessarily a friend telling you or yourself saying, I want to die, but just sometimes they kind of mask it in a way that that's what they're trying to say without actually saying those words. So if you notice any of your friends or yourself talking about any of these things, it's really, really, really important to really pay attention to the words that person is saying and the way they're saying those words. Because a lot of times when a friend is thinking of suicide or talking about self-harm in any way, they're not actually full blown up going to say those words. They're going to say it and talk about it in a way that's almost masking. So you really need to pay attention and really give a listening ear to your friends at that point in their lives. Anything else, Will?
Yeah, I was gonna mention the act of sort of masking that language of suicide, and that one common way is through humor. They could be making more jokes about taking their own life or death in general when that's not normally what they would joke around about. So just keeping track on those sort of jokes could be helpful in identifying any sort of suicidal thoughts.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So, what can you do to help your friends? So it's a simple way. There is a simple way you can help your friends, and that is just ask them. If you see that there's something bothering them, ask them if they're okay. Ask them what's bothering them. If you see that they may be having a panic attack, ask what you can do to help. Maybe they've gone through this before and they never really mentioned it to you about it. And maybe they already know what to do. Maybe they don't know. If you see that a friend is sort of isolating themselves at lunch, ask if they want to eat lunch with you. Is enough. And don't push when they start to say no thanks, because you don't want to upset them any further than they might be. So while you want them to know they're there, that you're there for them, the number one best thing you could do for your friend is telling an adult you trust. So speaking with your parents, a teacher, counselor, these people can really help you and make sure that your friend sees the proper professionals that can help them out during this difficult time. And if you feel like your friend might not be safe alone, maybe they're really like you're seeing those signs that they're having suicidal thoughts and you're afraid of what they might do if they're alone, call 911. They will be sure to reach their residence and make sure that your friend is safe. So when you talk to your friends, there are sort of two different types of language that you can use when talking to them, and that's empathy versus sympathy. And there's a big difference between these two things. While what you say is somewhat similar, it's what you are really saying that makes them different. So with empathy, you're putting yourself in the shoes of another person. So you're trying to understand what they are going through. And while doing that, you have to leave your opinion out of it. So say that they're having a really difficult time, they did poorly on an assignment, and you're like, oh, okay, whatever. With empathy, you have to leave that opinion out of what you're saying and just say, okay, I could see that you're having a tough time right now. And with empathy, you're just trying to understand how they feel, acknowledging how they're feeling, and just let them feel what they're feeling and work it out with you. Sympathy, while similar, is where them feel what they're feeling. You're just showing them that you're feeling the same thing. Anything you want to add, Stephanie?
Sometimes we feel that if our friends know we've also felt the same thing, it can actually make them feel better. But a lot of times, our friends, what they need is just someone there that is trying to understand the way they're feeling. A lot of times when I know that somebody else is sad for the same thing that I'm sad, it doesn't actually make me feel any better because it's not actually helping me get over what I'm feeling. But when we have a friend that is just there, sometimes just sitting beside us, quietly, just giving attention or just kind of being there to support me, sometimes that is actually a lot better than trying to tell your friend that you've also felt the same way. So that's a little bit difference between the sympathy and empathy. Sometimes we just think that's what our friend needs, so that's what we're so used to doing, is giving them the sympathy and saying, I felt the same thing. It's okay to feel this way. But that's not truly what our friends need at that time. They just need someone to try to understand what they're feeling and acknowledge what they're feeling.
Right. Thank you for that. So this is just a list of some numbers you can give any of your friends that you may feel are struggling with their own thoughts and feelings. These numbers are there to help you and make sure that you receive proper aid that you may need. You can also reach out to us at North of Superior. We are always around to help you guys. We're here in the community, and we're more than willing to help you, whatever you may need. Anything to add, Stephanie?
Just one quick thing. Going back to suicide real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked about all these numbers and people that are trusted adults to kind of to voice your concerns, or if any of your friends have voiced how they're feeling, a lot of times our friends will ask us not to tell anyone. A lot of times our friends will say, it's a secret. I just want to tell you and nobody else. What we want to encourage everyone, and it is super, super important, is not to keep that to yourself. A lot of times, if you keep that, it actually makes you feel worse because it's such a heavy secret to keep on yourself that it's so important for you to either reach out to one of these numbers or reach out to a teacher or to a parent. And sometimes we feel like reaching out might break our friends' trust and that they would be mad at us. But we all feel that it's more important for a friend to be mad at you than for a friend to take their own lives. So if ever a friend ever voices that this is not a secret that they want you to share, it is super duper important that you do share because it's your friend's life that's at risk. And we really want you to go see a trusted adult. So just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's very important to understand. And like when you do go see an adult or you reach out to one of these numbers, it's okay to say, they told me this like they told me this as a secret. I don't want to break it, but I'm worried about them. Whoever you tell, they will 100%. But with this activity, it sort of wraps up our presentation. And and we will include the presentation in the description as well, just so that you guys have access to this information and to these resources as well. And like it says here, come back next week as we will be doing a mindful crafting day. And with that, we will be ending things here. So I would just like to show an example of what I did with the activity. So I just drew, I used the second one, and I just drew the night sky, drew the moon, and some stars. And what that means to me is, no matter how dark the night is, the moon is always a bright point. And I like to imagine myself as the moon. And while the moon has many faces, it could like be totally gone. There are always stars in the sky. And I like to think of those as like my parents, my friends, my siblings, as I know I can always see them in the darkness and I can reach out whenever I need them.
Awesome. So I started mine. I didn't finish mine yet. I kind of took me a little bit. I was going one way and then I kind of flip flopped. So far mine's just super colorful. So I've just did a bunch of different colors. The reason I picked being colorful is just because I'm a super bubbly person. So sometimes people need that, but in the middle, I'm also going to put a darker color because sometimes being bubbly and being like super happy kind of scares some people and it's almost too much for some people. So I put that around and then in the middle, I'll put a darker color just because it's important for me to realize that sometimes I can help my friends and family by being super bubbly, but other people kind of need a little bit less of that. So that's how I'm going to do it. And then in the middle, I'm going to put just different words that I go with. So I'm going to put like caring, respect, love, and just different words that kind of remind me every day of how to support my life and how to support my friends and my family. And what are the words that are super important to me to remember to keep me happy and to keep my friends happy. So that's what my emblem's going to look like.
Wow. It's awesome. With all that said and done, we hope that this stream was informative to everybody. We hope to see you back next week for our mindful crafting. We have some interesting stuff planned for that day. You won't be seeing myself or Stephanie. You'll be seeing some of our different counselors here at North of Superior. What they have planned is pretty interesting, and you'll learn some different skills there as well. But we hope you have an amazing day, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Anything you want to add, Stephanie, before we sign out?
Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for joining us. If ever you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always here to support, and have a great rest of the summer.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.